Oh, come on. We got a show to do, guys. Come on. We got a show. Let's save the party till after, Pearl.
Rocky Top, you'll always be home.
Let's start the party now. Start the party now.
Good.
Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Not ready for primetime players, no doubt about it. Our skits aren't great, but you get the gist. Everybody having a little fun this morning after Tennessee beats Alabama for the second time in 3 years. What a job by Tennessee in the second half. What a job by the defense in the entire game. That defense is something. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about it. We'll talk about the resilience of this Tennessee team to keep on fighting. We'll talk about the inconsistent offense. Can it be fixed? We got a lot to cover, including Josh Heupel. You know, I think Tennessee had been one of their last 28 against Alabama and Florida before he arrived, and now he's beaten each of them twice. That's something. And he's beaten them in completely different ways. That's also something. Let's get right into this first segment. It's brought to you by our friends at the Garza Law Firm. As I watched the game yesterday, I saw an ad for an attorney. The spot showed no local video, so I did a little check, and of course what I found was the guy has an office in another state, but he's got like a satellite office here. You know who is in East Tennessee, really in East Tennessee, knows the East Tennessee system, can protect you, work with you in an East Tennessee court system? That would be Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm, because they are local. They're right here in East Tennessee, have been for years. That's why their reputation is so stellar in this area. People have used them. People have loved them. Garza Law, if you find yourself in a legal bind, get some reassurance. Get the best representation you can. GarzaLaw.com to learn more. All right, we've taken their cigars away. Sorry, Will. Sorry, Marlon. We're over here. We have Jimmy Himes. Thanks for joining us.
Sir.
Josh Ward right here. Marlon Walls, VFL, who was in the locker room last night smoking some real cigars with those guys. And VFL, Will Overstreet. Thanks to all of you for being here. Tennessee wins it 24-17. Will, we spoke at halftime. I'm guessing today's conversation will be different than the chat we had at halftime yesterday. I will start with you for your top takeaway on Tennessee's incredible win.
Yeah, just championship level defense. That's what you have. I mean, this offense gave up 3 turnovers. Defense gave up 0 points off those turnovers. Third down conversion was great. Milroe was held to 11 yards rushing. Alabama averaged 2.2 yards per carry. We had 3 sacks. You just look at it, complete and total defense, and the thing that improved so much from last year, you just look at the secondary, the ability to get guys on the ground once they make a play. I mean, Williams, yes, he had 8 catches, but he only had 73 yards, and I guarantee his yards after first contact was not very good. We got him on the ground. We made the plays. This team is playing, like I said, national level, championship level defense at this league right now. I underestimate how good this team was, thinking maybe, hey, you know, Oklahoma's offense wasn't good, Florida's offense wasn't good. You played a good, Alabama offense that has had no problem scoring up against anybody in the SEC, and you shut them down for all effective reasons last night. And so I just look at this now and go, okay, defense, the secondary, you've passed those tests. I believe in you now, what you've got there. The offense is a different story. But that defense right now is the top takeaway. They're championship level, every bit as good as anybody in the country.
All right, top takeaway?
Top takeaway is this is a resilient football team. One of the reasons I say that is we know this is their 3rd straight game not scoring a point in first half. For an explosive offense, or supposed to be an explosive offense. But just standing there with those guys, body language is a big deal. You didn't see the offensive line hanging their head on some of those bad turnovers. You didn't see Dylan Sampson drop his head after the fumble, and we're all sitting there, and we know it was an explosive play. Could have been an explosive drive for us. Those guys had their resiliency of, we're going to be okay. We're good. I saw Nico walking them down the sideline, constantly talking to the offensive line, hey, we're going to get them here. Dylan Sampson doing that same thing, and then this defense is going to keep you in every game with the way they're playing. I think offensively, if we start to connect there, which I think we can get to that point. We're starting to connect on the throws. Nico trusts his protection. I think this is going to be one of the top teams in the country, and I think we can play with anybody just based off what I see so far defensively and just resiliency of the football team.
One of the things that impressed me, and that's the reason I picked Alabama Saturday on our pregame show, at some point, we've all seen it, you've played on it, defenses, when they're thrown out there time and time again, the offense isn't doing anything, here's another turnover, eventually the fire goes out, it breaks, it stops. It's like, okay, I can't do it by myself anymore. This defense keeps going. I thought yesterday might be the day without Keenan Peely. Is this the day it breaks? They had every excuse to break. You brought up 3 turnovers. They give up no points. They didn't break. Impressive. Very impressive. Top takeaways, gentlemen.
Yeah, I would just continue what you're talking about. When stressed, they're stressed several times in that game. They were against Florida last week. At this point in the season, the success they've had in those moments, it's not a fluke. It's not a fluke that Mertz fumbles at the 1-yard line. It's not a fluke that Jermon McCoy picks off a pass in the end zone. That's stepping up, making plays. Yeah. Early, Jalen Milroe has an opportunity where there's grass in front of him. He could have had a long touchdown run, and Will Brooks trips him up, who has the interception late in the game. Afterward, Arion Carter is there at the podium, and he's talking about Will Brooks and his leadership. That's a young, highly touted player who's a playmaker, talking about an older guy that wasn't highly touted and his leadership. So that tells you the buy-in is there, the players playing together. I think at this point the results show that.
I don't know how many nails go in a coffin, but I think the offense was close to having the final nail after that first half. And I thought the second half they played pretty well. They scored 24 points. They had 267 total yards. They ran for 173. Dylan Sampson had 104 of those rushing. I thought the offense showed a spark that maybe will carry forward. Now, they got an open date before they go to Kentucky. But I did see some things I liked. I saw Nico running the football, which I think is important in this offense.
They ran him more in the second half than they did the first half, and it helped.
They did. And so I saw a spark of what I think this offense can be. But I think they finally came to life in the second half against Alabama.
They left at least 20 points on the board in the first half. If you're talking about, well, play calling this is the problem, okay. You had Dylan Sampson fumble at about the 20-yard line. That's at least a field goal, if not more. You have Nico make the horrible interception down there in the red zone. That's a field goal probably, maybe more, so that's 6 points. You had 2 guys running wide open behind the defense. You overshot both of them with, well, I was going to say Miltonian accuracy. Maybe it's Iamalievian accuracy. They're very similar at this point. But you overshot 2 of them. That's 2 touchdowns that you should have had. The coaches had you with 20 more points there if you execute. And it wasn't there. So maybe that does suggest you're this far off. You just need a little bit more to close it in. Josh Heupel, let's talk about him very quickly. It's funny. I came into the season thinking, oh, man, this guy's an offensive guru. My view of him as an offensive guru has dropped. I now look at it and think, if he doesn't have tempo, it's going to be tough for him with this offense. But my view of him as a head coach going up a little bit, because I didn't think, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, if they could win like this against Alabama and Florida, I'd have said no. Have we seen, everybody goes gaga over Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin ever won like this? I don't think so. I haven't seen him win with power defense like this. To me, that's the most impressive thing to come out of the season so far is you are 6-1, still going to be probably number 8, number 7 this week, and you're doing it in a totally 180 degrees different way than you did the last time around.
With a flawed offense. That I do think can get better. We'll see. Yeah. But that's the thing. You see so many elements of this team that you think, yeah, they could be better here, better there. And yet here they are. They're 6-1. They're 3-1 in the conference. They're ranked in the top 10. They're going to move up a few spots this week. And they still have a very legitimate shot to be a college football playoff team.
Heupel said after the game that he feels that they're just getting started with this program. Marlon, you snuck in there to the locker room last night as a Vol. Thoughts about what you saw? Thoughts about how this team relates to their head coach?
He's a football coach, and what I mean by that is I've had the opportunity, unfortunate opportunity to play for a lot of football coaches at the University of Tennessee. What I see there is the guys respond. They respond to him. He's done a great job with the culture. They are a football team, and what I mean by that is each guy cares about the next guy. You'll see a guy go down, another guy goes over, go check on him, make sure he's okay as he's sitting on the bench. And then just the mindset of, hey, yes, we missed 20 points in the first half. We're not going to let those 20 points kill us. We're okay. Let's figure it out. Let's get going. And that's what I saw the most is the guys trust him. And if you don't trust your head coach as a football player, I can tell you this. I won't throw out any names, Dooley. But if you don't trust your football coach, you question everything in every situation. When you go down or you're missing shots and, hey, you're playing against Alabama, it's 7-0, you're starting to question in your head, can we actually do this? Because I don't trust the guy that's calling the plays, and I don't see that over there. So that's a really good thing.
Will?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this team, like I said, the thing that scares you a little bit is you don't know what you're going to get after that game on the offense, because you had such a historically, as you talked about before during the game, historically poor offense that was one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time at 3 turnovers. And then you come out and you show, hey, we can play in the SEC. Whichever one of those that offense in the second half or first half, you come out with that in a game against Mississippi State, you're going to struggle to beat Mississippi State. But you can also beat anybody if that offense can come out and play well enough, like they did in the second half to Alabama. You don't have to be lights out, but you got to be able to put up a few points here and there because you have this defense right now.
I thought I saw Nico playing with more confidence in the second half. Now, does that carry over? We'll see.
It was after that long run. I think it kind of – his numbers second half were the same as numbers first half. It's almost identical. Unless you broke it down after that long run, he was 6 of 9, I think, the rest of the way.
And Heupel talked about what does he look for in a quarterback? He looks for toughness and mental toughness. And he said our quarterback displayed that in the second half. So, again, maybe that jump starts him.
Yeah.
We won't know until it happens, but it might.
And it's not just Nico either. You got a jump start. You had receivers that drop passes. You have fumbles. You got a lot of problems.
Dylan Sampson said what Josh Heupel said the week before. I guess it was my turn to make a mistake with his early fumble, but you obviously saw him keep going. Nico's big pass down the sideline, he's rolling out. He's not in the pocket thinking, is pressure coming?
Which was a heck of a ball.
It's that's the elite throw that we talk about. He's capable of making that charge them up as well.
And if you're wondering, why haven't these guys talked about Dylan Sampson? Trust me, we got a whole segment coming up on Dylan Sampson. It's funny, I said last year as we went through that season that, boy, if this were another year, any other year, we'd be talking more and more about Jalen Wright. Well, I'm kind of doing the same thing with Dylan Sampson. It's almost like we're taking him for granted because, he'll get his 130 and carry the team to 3 more touchdowns. He'll do his part. So we'll spend a little time talking about Dylan Sampson.
Alvin Kamara was impressed.
Yeah. He was, yes, the quotes. All right, when we come back, the best player, the worst decision, biggest disappointment. We got much more to come on the Sports Source. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. As winter approaches, folks, remember that any project you start in cold weather is going to need cold weather materials. Who carries those? Who can explain what you'll need and why? Well, A.G. Hines Company, of course. Visit the Hines family and their team before you start your winter project. They are on Hines Street. It's easy to remember. A.G. Hines Company, Hines Street, downtown Knoxville. aghines.com to learn more. All right. Let's welcome in the next 3 VFLs we have. I'll start on this end for once. We got Daniel Hood, VFL. We got VFL Sterling Hinton. You got any voice left, Sterling?
I got a whole lot left, baby.
Oh, I should know. You sang Rocky Top in my face. That's right. And right here, Ollie Lane. Ollie, who, of course, takes part in our Saturday kickoff show. And I thought, well, how many people here experienced beating Alabama? I guess Will did. I thought we need somebody who experienced the one from 2 years ago. So, Ollie, you are here. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah. Matter of fact, since you're in, I'm going to let you start. This segment, we quickly run through best player on the field last night. We run through worst decision by either team, coach, player, whatever. And then we do biggest disappointment last night. So I'm going to start with you, best player on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you could take that into a lot of different directions. I think if you look offensively, obviously your best player is Dylan Sampson. You know, hang your hat on that guy. He's going to get you all the yards you need to. But if you look in the scope of the game, I think if you look at best player, I mean, the guy that won the game for you, Will Brooks, is who I would aim at as the guy to be the one that's the hero of the game for us, per se, because went out and had a great game and got the ceiling interception to win the game for us. So
8 tackles, tackle for loss, interception, had the pick 6 earlier this year. He's among the team leaders in tackles for the season. Get that man a scholarship. Will Brooks. Hope he's getting the NIL to take care of it. You were going to go Will Brooks too, weren't you?
I was going to, and I looked up his bio. One of my fun stats about Will Brooks, as he graduated with a degree in finance, wears the same socks in every game.
Wow.
So that's where the magic for Will Brooks is coming from.
It's working. Well, who's your best player on the field now?
Yeah. I'll go Jerron McCoy. I said it after the Oklahoma game when he played out, and we all saw the incredible one-handed pick in the south end zone last week. You're talking about a young 19-year-old kid out there making plays like that. I don't know why teams keep targeting this kid, but I don't
Went toe to toe and held his own with one of the best receivers in the country.
Best young receivers in the country. And hats off to Coach Martinez, what they're doing with the staff. Will Brooks being a great example. Gerard McCoy. And those dudes, Ricky Gibson III's coming in there. God.
A few weeks ago on the show, we were talking about McCoy, and it was early on. I said, I don't know, the secondary looks improved. I don't know that you've got a shutdown corner. I know now. You've got a shutdown corner.
Their man coverage looks better than zone.
We'll talk about that coming up. Sterling, best player on the field.
Can I cut him in half?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going with the two guys on the outside. I'm going Brew McCoy and Thornton.
Yeah.
Those guys played precision football yesterday, and they made some start blocks for Sampson to get those extra yards.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were playing good receiver football yesterday. When they got the ball, they got some rack.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed watching those guys play yesterday.
And for all the talk of Nico overthrowing guys, there were several drop passes yesterday. Not by Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton. Those guys are sure-handed.
Baby,
I'd like to see them find more ways to get those to the ball. All right, worst decision. I've got one. I'll start on this one. I didn't do a best player. I'll give you a worst decision. Boo Carter, at the end of that game, jawing and then taking a swing. I don't know if you saw the highlight. He took a swing. Could have been a game-turning flag if they had seen it and thrown it. I thought that was, you got to grow up. He's young. You got to grow him up, but that was not a smart decision at all. I hope Willie Martinez lets him know about it.
I'm certain he will.
Worst decisions.
My worst decision, which I like to choose something positive here. Gaston Moore coming in.
Positive worst decision?
Yeah, positive worst decision. Gaston Moore comes in, shoot, throws it up, arm cold and everything, throws an interception there in the first half. But, man, I love the outcome because I think we solidified Nico as our starting quarterback for the rest of the year.
Wow. Yeah, I felt sorry for Moore there. That was kind of brutal.
I loved it. Like, you're a senior.
You got a bad decision? Did you guys see a bad decision?
I didn't see a bad decision. I didn't see nothing worth of calling.
Well, what about, it could be the other team as well. What about Kalen DeBoer deciding the 4th and 22? Now, he said afterwards, if we punt it there, we've got all 3 timeouts, but if we punt it and we stop them, we're just going to get another long punt back and have to go the length of the field anyway. I get that. But the trick was, if you were 4th and 7, I'd be okay with that. You were 4th and 22. Your odds of pulling a 4th and 20, I think your odds were better. Kick it to UT, hope that they fumble, stumble, do something. I thought that was a bad decision.
Yeah, because, at least you're giving your chance an opportunity to force them out of field goal range.
Yeah.
But now, you're just kind of hoping to play the clock with them. So
I'll give you another worst decision. Or you can go.
No, go ahead.
All the Alabama coaches saying that Neyland wasn't that loud. All I saw on Twitter all week was, it's just like rain. It's just like this.
And there was one of those was AI. One of them was fake. Somebody put. Here's my list.
There's my worst decision. Listen to Twitter.
Your worst decision? Social media.
Yeah.
Don't trust it. Don't do it. Unless you're following me. But all I do is tease the show. All right. Biggest disappointment last night. You and I shared one.
Yeah.
I think you've got a biggest my biggest disappointment was what happened after the game.
Yeah, look, I understand the excitement of beating Alabama. It's a lot of fun, and everybody's, it's highly anticipated. But at some point, Bama now we're on the same level, the same tier as them. We don't need to be rushing, storming the field, tearing goalposts down. I know it's so much fun to take the goalpost around the strip and bring it around Knoxville, but at some point in time, we got to realize that, hey, we're Tennessee football. We belong on this stadium, on this level of playing field with everybody. When you see it, when people beat us now, they're starting to rush their fields and tear down their goalposts. So, when we start beating these highly top 10 teams, it's expected. It's not a special treat anymore. So
that's pretty good, Ollie, because I wrote down, at some point, need to start acting like you expect to beat Alabama. It's 2 out of 3, 2 in a row at home. Party outside. Don't rush the field. You're Tennessee. You don't need to do this
Don't
anymore.
allow this. You got to stop it. Give them the truth of the situation.
The truth of the situation is,
act like you're
Maryville
College.
As long as the players act like they expect to win, the fans, they're coming to Neyland for an exciting event. Now, we tried to stop them. I was there stopping everyone, and they didn't. But some other people jumped. That may not have been students. Then the students saw them. I turned around and they went. But that happened, and I'm just thankful no one got hurt. And as long as they do, no one gets hurt. and it's not
Well,
a
how do you?
habitual thing.
Well, what if somebody gets hurt the next time doing it?
Well, we don't.
That'll be a bad idea to do it?
No, I don't want anybody getting hurt.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying, if it's a good idea to do it, if nobody gets hurt.
I never said it was a good idea. I just said it happened and no one got hurt. I never said it was a good idea.
I would want to. If when's the last time Alabama tore down their goalpost for you? I'd stop. That's kind of kissing their butts is the way I look at it. I'd stop that. But that's me. Daniel, you like it. You like anything fans do, so go for it.
Well, no, I love what fans do, but this was a situation where I thought I wasn't at the game, so you may be able to tell me different.
tell you.
But it looked like it was started by the recruits. And like
I just said it. I know the student section did not start it. I don't want to say who started, but it was not the student section. We had them held. But when it happened, it happened. No one
We got to
got
get you a
hurt.
break. We've gone over on this one. All right, cool. So difference of opinion. I would want to act. I was happy you said that because I knew I'd be the bad guy if I said it. So here's a recent vol that said it. You guys disagree. All right. When we come back, the pass game still wildly inconsistent. Is it fixable this season? We'll discuss. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. Brand new campground right on the Little Pigeon River, folks. It's 10 minutes from all the major attractions there. Premium RV and tent sites with full hookups. Boy, you can learn more about this great campground at rivercovecampground.com. And you've got so many people who love to camp in the fall, and a lot of those places, the older places, have already booked up. So if you're looking for a place right on the Little Pigeon River, beautiful place to camp this fall, get right there because they are just now opening for business. They still have some slots available. Check them out, rivercovecampground.com. I want to welcome in the last member of the panel, but not the least, Chuck Cavaliers. Chuck, thanks for being here.
And a way to save the best for the last.
There you go. There you go. The offense was a mess early. Nico missed 3 receivers deep. Would have been touchdowns. When he did hit his guys in the hands, there were about 3 or 4 drops. Chris Brazzell may be the poster boy of what's going on with their offense. He should have caught 2 yesterday, but then he made a spectacular catch in the end zone, which, all right. But it's kind of hit or miss. It's hot or cold. It's not just the deep balls being missed. It'll be a deep ball being dropped or a short pass being dropped. It will be a fumble. It will be a holding call. It will be a sack allowed. There's just an awful lot of things right now that aren't clicking perfectly into place. We talked about it a little bit in that first segment. Jimmy, I ask you, can it be fixed this season? I know it can be fixed in the off season, but as we head the last 5 games and whatever the postseason look like, can it be fixed?
I think it can be fixed. I think that Nico is still a work in progress. He's not a finished product. I think he's going to get better. I thought he threw some nice slant passes, which I thought Tennessee ran more of those against Alabama than I've seen. The other receivers need to pick it up, and there are other issues. But I think they can flip it. Now, they've gone 4 games in a row without getting 200 yards passing, right, in SEC games. I'm not saying they're going to start averaging 300, but I think if you get to 225 or 250, I think they can fix it. It's not all of a sudden going to be like Hendon Hooker in 2022, but I think he could be a lot better. So I'm going to say yes, it's fixable.
Yeah, that's Hendon Hooker, a 6th-year player that year, whereas Nico's second year. Yeah.
I guess the troubling thing, guys, is what has it been? 3 straight first halves you've been shut out.
Yeah, first time since 1963.
First time since
we'll
1963.
Get to that. Yeah.
But so obviously, is it especially a problem in the first half? Josh Heupel said one of the adjustments they made was going to 12 personnel, getting 2 tight ends out there and still going spread. And I like that. If you're not able to get the ball to the receivers on time of the way you like, you've got 3 good tight ends. Maybe that'll help. And, John, I'll continue to say this. There's no check down in this offense. Maybe that's because you have 1 back. But when Nico's under pressure, we saw it maybe 1 or twice last night. He finally had that to his right. Give him that. Give him something to get him out of trouble other than taking off and running, which I like that too. But yeah, you can fix it.
Okay, before I get to these 2, I keep forgetting to put that poll in there. There it is. You guys put it up. As of today, here's your question. As of today, I'm officially more sold on the defense. Looks like everybody's going that way. Bummed by the offense. worried about Nico, or sure of a playoff spot? You let us know. It looks like everybody's going to go defense, so all the negative people on Twitter don't come to this show and play our poll the next day. I read them on Twitter, and that would have been bummed about the offense, worried about Nico. But this morning, the win, all is well. All right, so click the QR code there. It's brought to you by Hearthside Bank. Click the QR code, play along with us, or go to sportsource.tv. You can see the poll button and follow there. Sterling, is it fixable?
Absolutely. It's just away from being elite, I think. You know, we're missing long balls, which become a part of our offensive play calling, which also gives defenses more things they got to worry about. We haven't hit them. We will. We have hit them in practice. It's going to mature to the game. And when we do, we'll be just as explosive as we expect this offense to be. We're just inches away. And when those inches get brought together, we'll be on fire.
Thank you, Sunshine. Rain Cloud?
There you go. You know, they always say your record shows who you are. Right now, there's a lot of tape that says who you are in offense right now. And it's that you are inconsistent, that you have flashes and moments, you can make some plays. But it's saying, are you going to be able to take this offense and go up against a Kentucky defense or a Georgia defense and be able to say, how are you going to be more consistent and look closer to an offense that we remember from Josh Heupel's earlier years? I think that's still a ways away. I think you're still, can you be good enough, play in the second half, have some inconsistent moments, but have enough plays to win? Yeah, I think there's probably opportunity for that. But I just look at this offense right now and go, I just feel like you've got enough tape right now that says you are going to be inconsistent. That's kind of who you are this year.
I agree with you. I don't necessarily think it's fixable this year. I think it's fixable long term because I think Nico's going to grow up and get better. I think the other pieces can be fixed. I just think you are what you are. We've seen it's too many little things that all have to come into place. So I think what you may have is a game where it looks fantastic, where they hit 3 deep balls and you're like, fixed it, and then you come back the next week and it's, man, they didn't score in the first 3 quarters again. I just think you're going to see some of that. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my take. So I guess I'm siding with Rain Cloud. Sorry.
I'm going to be a genius in a couple of weeks.
There you go. There you go. You're a genius all the time, Sterling.
Hey, it's going to take longer than a couple of weeks, Pearl.
See, I was being nice. He's still a work in progress.
Yeah, you're still a work in progress.
If you want more discussion of Nico and the offense, by the way, next Saturday, 11 a.m., WET6 right here and on our YouTube channel. Watch the Saturday kickoff. It's an open date show, so we're going to have everybody together. It's going to be a little different breakdown than the way we normally do it. Lots of long-form discussion segments. We'll talk about offense, defense, playoff hopes, etc. That's Saturday at 11 on WATE6. When we come back, Tennessee has been a first-half nightmare the last 3 weeks. Why? Why the slow starts? Marlon Walls will tell us next. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Folks, it's that time of year. You've got bugs who are sitting there going, ooh, it's getting chilly outside. It's getting cold outside. We need a warm place for the winter. And they see your house. And they're like, that's it. Let's get in there. Get the fall invader treatment from Southeast Termite and Pest Control. I do it every year. It keeps the box elder bugs out. It keeps the stink bugs out. It keeps the ladybugs out. And that way you don't have 5 million of their little offspring in your home in the spring. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, give them a shout. I've been using them for years. I can tell you, if you do it, you'll be very happy that you did. SoutheastTermite.com. All right, let's remind you of the poll question since I haven't done a very good job of pushing it today. There you go. Although it looks like it's just a commanding runaway. I need to just pick like 3 negative things and let people figure that out. The easy ones bother me, but all right, people sold on the defense. Good enough. Slow starting Vol offense. Take a look at this. This is your last 3 games. You see 0 points first quarter, 0 points second quarter, 38 points third quarter, 27 points fourth quarter. Look at the yards down there. You're averaging 56 in the first, 60 in the second, 129, 291. All right, actually, that looks like a total. That's not an average, so excuse that last one. That's a total. But Marlon, here's the question, and I'm sure it's an easy answer. What's up with the slow starts?
So I've got 2 things. My 2 are, I want to say, lack of execution, and then also health. We've got to get healthy. If you look at our offensive line yesterday, we had guys going in and out. You look at our receivers, I can clearly see that some of our guys are not as healthy as they should be. This bye week should help us. But then when I go execution, it's Dylan Sampson on the fumble, right? Those are points. It's Nico missing guys wide open. The reason why I think it's going to fix itself is because we are getting guys open. If it was a situation where Alabama's shutting us down and we ain't got guys running open, receivers can't get open, we can't get the running game going, then I'm more concerned. But I think just watching it personally, I think it's lack of execution because they are being drawn up with good plays. It's just we got to hit them. And then also Dylan Sampson, right, fumbling the ball. And then I think we've got some guys, when you're looking at offensive line, receiver room, we're not as healthy as we need to be. And so that's always going to throw off the chemistry.
Ollie, let me ask you this as a former offensive lineman who played with Dylan Sampson. And he's turned himself into the workhorse that I didn't know if he could. I mean, he's put on pounds, and he's not the same back he was last year. Kudos to him. But you look at it, meaning he's an even better back. He was good last year. But point being, they seem to get better in the second half. He seems to get better in the second half. How much of this slow start stuff is a product of they eventually wear the opponent down in the second half with their run game a little bit? Could that play into it or no?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you wanted to take that into account, that could be a piece of why it takes them so long to get started is just a wearing out process. But, I think looking at it, I think you hit it right on it. It's not a talent issue. It's not the fact that they can and can't do it. It's just getting rid of these mental errors and mistakes on the field that is causing them to hold them back from being able to accomplish what they want to accomplish out there.
But if it's just mental errors, my only question, I'm not trying to argue because I don't have an answer myself. If it's just mental errors, why do you have them in the first half but not in the second half so consistently in the first half? I mean, is it like they got to get in there and get a few licks in before they focus?
Here's what I would say is when you're talking about Dylan Sampson as a defensive guy, I would tell you all day long, give me a Derrick Henry running back and opposed to a Dexter McCluster. It's hard to tackle that guy. They're slippery. And so I think with Dylan Sampson, he's going to wear you down, but also he's slippery. So for defenders, it's hard to do that for 4 quarters to tackle a guy that can make you miss. He's small, right, in size, big in stature, but like he's small, he's quick, and so it's harder to get a hold of that guy. And then now when you're running the up-tempo, those defensive guys are going to start to wear down, and it's harder to tackle that guy in the third and fourth quarter.
My best guess, and it's a guess, at the why part would also be, we've talked about the defense and what it's done to keep Tennessee in it. Dylan is their best player in offense. He's also the heart of the offense. And I think there's a real belief that we are one play away, we are one drive away, what it has to be. And I think they mean that. Nico was talking about next play up. So they know they're making mistakes. They know they've experienced why it's happening first half, not in the second half. My guess is that at least the mindset of the team is we have a chance. If the defense had not stepped up in the first half, I don't know that we see the same offensive performance.
Right.
If they need 3 scores to catch up instead of 1, it's probably a different mindset in the second half. Now, why are they still coming out and having the issues? I don't know that. The what is obvious. They keep making their own mistakes to get in their own way.
And the thing is, it's a 3-game sample, so we may look back in a couple weeks and see it's completely reversed. I mean, the interesting thing, if you remember the first few years of Josh Heupel, we talked about you better jump on him in the first and third quarter, and then it usually tails off of the second or fourth. There has been all kinds of talk from some fans who don't like Josh Heupel that he never makes adjustments, can't do anything at halftime. They get worse in the second half. Okay, throw that out the window. So we may be sitting here in a couple of weeks talking about a completely different situation where they're scoring early or not late. But it is interesting that the last 3 games, it has been a very obvious issue. Points, yardage, it's just not there for 3 straight first halves. I think they said yesterday in the game that was the first time since 1963 that Tennessee has had 3 first halves in a row where they didn't score. So, yeah, go ahead, quickly.
I'll throw this in there real quick. I think we need to do, just like you opened up with, run Nico a little bit more, get him comfortable, because I think first half he's not as comfortable, not as settled in.
Florida last night scored 27 first half points against Kentucky. Tennessee's next opponent with 2 weeks to get ready. If Tennessee can't have a good first half against Kentucky, then that's probably just out, and you just have to plan on the points coming in the second half.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity
This is the one to hit
for a first half breakout. Yeah.
All right, very good. When we come back, let's talk more about Tennessee's defense, their secondary, and what they were able to do yesterday. We talked about them a little bit earlier. Well, we've talked about them several times. They deserve their own segment. We'll give it to them next. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source, the segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Hey, it's a couple of weeks till Halloween. That means you got a couple of weeks to try and get down to Madisonville Marine and take advantage of these spectacular rebate programs. G3 fishing boats, and that's 2024, 2023 boats, up to $5,500 in rebates depending on the model if bought by Halloween. Suncatcher pontoons, $5,000 in rebates depending on the model if bought by Halloween. they've always got great deals, but right now that's some special stuff. Madisonville Marine, Highway 411 North in Madisonville. Get down there, see Joe Special and his team, because there's no better place to buy a boat. All right, take a look here defensively. Hit on this a little bit earlier. This is what Alabama was averaging on the season offensively compared to what they did yesterday. They were averaging nearly 42 points a game. You held them to 17. Rushing yards there at 179, you gave up 75. Passing yards, you held them about 25 yards below their average. Total yards, you held them 120 yards below their average. Third down, their percentage typically on third down, 45, 46%. You held them at 21%. You then throw in the fact that you had 5 3-and-outs. I think in their last 12 plays, they gained three yards or something in total. They were like 0 of 4 on their last 4 third downs, 0 of 1 on the fourth down. Their average third down was 3rd and 8.5. You kept them in long yardage all day. Daniel, to me, we could talk about the defensive line. Been talked about all year. They're good. Linebackers, I wondered how that would look without Keenan Peely. Look good.
Look great.
But I thought yesterday was the breakout party for the secondary.
It was, and I think when you look at Tim Banks, you look at what he's done with this team. He's been able to get these guys to play selflessly, right? To play as a unit, play as a group, from D-line to linebacker to all of it. And it's amazing. Like I heard a Nick Saban quote a few weeks ago, and it's almost as important to get the wrong people off the bus than it is to get the right people on the bus. You look at this season, you look at the attrition that they had going into the Iowa game, the guys that they brought in, and the culture that they've built on defense. It's incredible. And just one little thing to highlight it with the defensive line, you got James Pierce, who's an All-American, first couple of games of the season, barely even touching the field, and being okay with that for the good of the team to get that depth.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah. Ollie, your thoughts on the secondary, on the defense in general? You're a guy that used to practice against this bunch. To look at the leap they have taken from last, I mean, they were good last year.
Yeah.
They were top 4 in basically every category last year, but they've gone from good to great.
Yeah, I mean, like you just led into it, it's no surprise. I mean, this defense is incredibly talented, and then just the intensity that they play with game in and game out is something to admire. You know, I noticed it going against them every single day in practice of how good they can be and what all they can accomplish. And I mean, now, just the depth and the quality of depth that they have coming in. I mean, you lose a guy like Peely, it's a huge loss for this team, but then you got Caleb Perry, T-Lander coming in to fill in for that role. And I mean, that just speaks to the volume of we got depth. Everybody says they got depth. They got people they can put in, but we've got guys that could come in and match the same quality of production that the other guys ahead of them are producing. And I mean, you look at the secondary. It's taken a long time for Tennessee to have a secondary that we can be like, hey, we've got a good secondary over here at Tennessee. It's nice to see that we've got a good secondary over here at Tennessee now. So.
McCoy might be the best NIL portal guy they've gotten. So I don't even think there's a might. He is, in my opinion. Jimmy, your thoughts on the defense, the secondary, wherever you want to take it.
McCoy has been terrific. I'm not sure if Tennessee knew he was going to be this good.
Right.
But he has been outstanding. He's been a lockdown corner. We've heard other players talk about how when you have that, it allows you to do different things on defense.
Which you saw yesterday.
Yes. So Ryan Williams was targeted. He's a very good receiver. Was targeted 19 times. Now, he had 8 catches. Wow. I would bet you about half of them were when McCoy wasn't on him because he went out for a little while. The touchdown catch was not on him.
Right.
And he also, some of those catches, McCoy was right on him.
Yeah.
It was just a really good offensive play. I think he has made a huge difference in the secondary. He's confident. I think he's given the secondary confidence. And let's not overlook what Will Brooks has brought to the table, too. He's playing really well at the safety position.
And I have one thing about McCoy. One of my favorite things, and I don't know if he does this on purpose, but I love that he's also our punt returner. Because I just imagine him being like, hey, coach, my job is to get the offense the football, and I'm going to give it to you and forcing the punt. I don't know if that's happening, but like every time I see him back there, I just imagine like, hey, it's my job to bring in the football.
Well, another good thing about the defense overall, the fact that they can rotate. They may not have a whole lot of elite defensive linemen. They got a whole lot of really good ones. Mm-hmm. And when you can rotate 10 or 12, and keep them fresh like that, I think that makes a difference.
Well, The Athletic this week, David Ubbins spoke to some coaches who remained anonymous, but they got their takes on Tennessee and Alabama, and one of them said that they thought James Pierce was the 3rd best defensive lineman on Tennessee's team, which says something about the defensive line you've got. If James Pierce, who some people are saying is the best player, who's going to be a top 5 draft pick, if he's the third best D lineman you've got, that's pretty good. But the one guy that I think needs to be singled out, we did this a couple of years ago when people were screaming for Tim Banks' head after the South Carolina game. It's like, look at everything else. That's one game. Most teams have one of those games. The fact that you've kept 7 straight foes this year, 8 overall, under 20 points, that's Georgia level defense there. You don't see that. Teams typically, I mean, even Alabama, when you beat them a couple of years ago, Nick Saban gave up 52 points to you. So we pointed out this defense isn't as bad as people thought. The next year, as we said last year, you're top 4 in everything. And we're trying to make that, we put the stats up and everything. Now this year you've hit that elite level. I will just say I hope nobody, I said it a few weeks ago, I hope nobody comes after him for a head coaching gig this year. And I hope he's got a nice big long contract, or at least they hand him one. One interesting thing, Jimmy, that I want to bring up on Banks, though, and you'll remember this. Remember how everyone was freaking out because it took so long to find a defensive coordinator when Heupel got here? There were rumors that he wanted to hire somebody, and Danny White got involved, and White wanted to have a hand in it, and White helped to. Well, if so, then let White always have a hand in it. But my point is, all that consternation, all that freaking out because, well, you got to hire somebody yesterday, turned out pretty good in the long run.
Absolutely it did. And that's when Kevin Steele was here. And they were even talking about him
carrying
remaining
over
as the defense coordinator. And he said no because he had a chance. So then you end up with Banks, who a lot of people are like, who is that?
Co-defensive coordinator. We did that with Shoup. That didn't work.
So whenever you hear a bunch of people, we got to Google that guy. Okay, that means not many people really know who he is.
Yeah.
But I think he's done a very good job. I think the defense was underrated a year ago, and now we're seeing them play at such a tremendous level right now.
All right, very good. When we come back, the Vols are 6-1, and ESPN has them playoff bound. Should we start to worry about their schedule, though? The teams they've beaten don't look that great. Could that wind up biting them? Let's talk playoff stuff next on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. Winter is coming. That means wind. That means rain. Is your roof ready for another winter? Find out by having Daniel Hood Roofing come out and do a free inspection, no obligation, on your roof. Is it fine? Does it need to be replaced? Does it need a repair? Does it need restoration? The restoration job can add another 5-10 years to your roof. Daniel Hood Roofing can tell you. Trust Daniel Hood Roofing. Get to danielhoodroofing.com. I'm going to say Daniel Hood a few more times because he's sitting to my left. All right, let's take a look at the poll results if we can. I may do another one since we got started. It looks like a few more people have said sure of a playoff spot, or said, no, that's just an orange line underneath. Never mind. So it looks like we're done with this one. Sold on the defense.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm not doing a very good job with these poll questions. I'm just making it too easy. All right. Thanks for playing along. We appreciate it. Daniel Hood, Josh Ward, Chuck Cavaleris right here. Let's take a look at Tennessee's schedule so far. You see on the left the teams they've played. It's not looking great in terms of beating really well thought of teams. Chattanooga is an FCS team. They're 4-3. NC State is now 4-4. Kent State, well, no surprise, they're 0-7. Oklahoma's fallen to 4-3. Arkansas lost to LSU. They're 4-3. Florida won. They're 4-3. Alabama, the best team you've played, the only ranked win you have at this point, the only win over a ranked team, and that's how they view it, is over Alabama, and you just knocked them from the top 10. You've got Kentucky 3-4. You got Mississippi State 1-6. You got Georgia. That could be a big one. UTEP 1-6. Vandy's 5-2. I don't know what their record will be when they finally face the Vols. Josh, do you buy into the Vols' 6-1 record? All right, we can show that schedule, and you could say, okay, they really haven't beaten anybody. Do you buy into the 6-1 record first? Second, do you have concerns that the schedule, if they're locked in with a couple of other 10-2 teams, that the schedule could burn them?
So I do buy into the record, recognizing Tennessee's flaws that we've talked about today. I think people will see the offense and know that's the case, but they'll also see the defense. Yeah. And when we're talking about championship contention, you have elite defensive play, you get a real benefit there, I believe. So, yes, I buy into the record, knowing other teams are flawed around the country to this schedule. That is a concern. That's worth bringing up if you're in a battle with a few other teams also at 10-2. If Tennessee's 11-1, there's no concern. If you beat Georgia, you're going to the playoff, playing in the SEC title.
Yeah, if you beat Georgia.
A good chance. But at 10-2, schedule will be brought up. That is something that the Vols will probably have to overcome for a playoff spot.
The projection from Heather Dinich on ESPN is that Tennessee's going to wind up number 8 in the new playoff poll. There are now 6 SEC teams that are all sitting at 6-1. on the season. 6 of them at 6-1, and you're ranked 4th behind LSU, a team that beat Arkansas.
Ouch.
And if they're doing the head-to-head comparisons, you lost to Arkansas, they beat Arkansas.
Yes.
So here's what you need to do the rest of the way, and it may hurt you to do it. You need to pull for Alabama. You need to pull for Alabama to win on out. You need to play for Florida to win this thing out.
Yep. Bama's game at LSU in a few weeks is a big one.
Huge, because if you're head-to-head with LSU, the only thing you can have is flip that Arkansas, cancel that Arkansas game out by you beating Alabama and they've lost to Alabama. Chuck, your thoughts on, are you worried about the schedule? It hasn't really come through in Tennessee's favor. Is that an issue or no?
Yes, it is. And I'll tell you why. Even like this morning, I looked up CBS Sportsline. We know Jerry Palm does great with his basketball predictions, right? He still has Alabama as the number 8 seed. He has Tennessee going to the Gator Bowl to play SMU.
Did he update it today?
Yes. And he's saying that he had Tennessee probably needs to beat Georgia to get in. And he said that because of the schedule. And now, I'll tell you what, I just checked it. That's updated this morning. Wow. And that's going to be out there. And the playoff rankings, pretty sure on this, come out Tuesday, November 5th. The first one's election day. So that's what we'll look for, see what's there. But it's out there, John. That schedule could very well come back and hurt Tennessee.
November 5th will be very calm on social media.
Yeah, that'll be an easy day. I'll be in my bunker.
I'm a different from Josh and Chuck did, because you've got the schedule that you need to make the playoff. You just have to win the football game. You get to play Georgia. You control your own destiny. That's everything that you need. Even if you drop that game, though, ESPN also has the Football Power Index, which flawed as it is, right? You're still playing 5 of the top 30 teams in the country as it sits today. And that's not counting if Vandy continues to play well. They may end up winning 8-9 games. You're still going to have a lot of these positive things, but it's going to be that Georgia game is going to be the marker of your season. You know that. What are you going to do in?
But you got to take care of business going
But
into
the thing
that.
is, you'd feel better.
Yeah, win the game and they're in.
Yeah, but if you lose to Georgia, then you've put your schedule back right in the target zone for me, because if you don't make the playoff because you wound up playing Kent State, UTEP, and Chattanooga, well,
the SEC race.
I won't mention that at all.
You pull up the standings, it is going to be a wild race here over the next 6 weeks.
Absolutely. Because I also think anybody can beat anybody. When you look at Georgia going to Texas and whipping them the way they did last night, I mean, it's just
that was impressive.
This league, I've said it before, it's getting more and more like the NFL, where there's very little separation from top to bottom. All right, when we come back, 3 VFLs from different eras discuss the season that Dylan Sampson is having. Best of all since. We'll not go to black. We'll be back with you in a second. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Well, I did it again. I, for some reason, watched another one of those scariest break-ins caught on home video things on YouTube. Every time I do that, I'm glad that my home is protected by Safety Systems. VFL J.J. Surlis and his team can design the perfect security system for your home or business. Been doing it for a quarter of a century. Safety Systems. All right, take a look at this. Dylan Sampson, just the kind of year he's having there. The far left column is the total he's added up for the year. So 144 carries already, 857 rushing yards, 945 all-purpose yards, 17 rushing touchdowns. Now that tied the modern record set by Reggie Cobb, Sterling Hinton's old roommate. He had 17, I think, back in '89. Average per game, 20 carries, 122 yards, 135 rushing and receiving. 2.5 touchdowns a game on the ground. You prorate that over 13 games, so that's a full season plus a bowl game. He's on pace for 267 carries, just shy of Travis Stevens' record in 2001. Rushing yards, 1,591. That would break Travis Stevens' single season record by 100 yards if he keeps that pace up. All-purpose yards, he's at 1,755, which is almost where Cordero Patterson was, but that was a lot of kick return yards for his all-purpose stuff. He's on pace for 31 rushing touchdowns, and I keep waiting for him to slow down. I don't think he's going to. If he gets one more, he ties, and if he gets 2 more, he breaks a 95-year-old school record set by the great Gene McKever. Now, we've got guys at our VFL desk who played with Travis Stevens, Cordero Patterson, and Reggie Cobb. None of them played with Gene McKever, however. But let's go on over. Will Overstreet, best UT single season since?
Eric Berry. I really look like right now, who's clearly the best guy on the field? and who is dominant in his position. Because every time we come into this after the game, you go, who is the best player on the field? Dylan Sampson. So I just look at it this way and go, you haven't seen that dominant performance in my mind across the field, across the team to say reliably who is your best player since somebody like an Eric Berry was on the field.
I can't disagree. I mean, Dylan's playing some incredible football right now, brother. And my thing is keep on feeding him. And I'm waiting for us to even exploit his route running abilities because we get him out there ice over the linebacker. Whew, I like that matchup twice on Sunday, baby. So I like what he's doing. I like what we're doing, and that guy's definitely an incredible player.
I've got two guys that pop up, and both. Well, you guys have mentioned Eric Berry. The other guy popped up on the board. Cordell Patterson was a special guy. I got a chance to stand on the other side of the field with him. The reason why I put him past Cordell Patterson is because Cordell Patterson didn't do it as long. It was a short time period, that sort of deal. He was more of a kick return guy. Dylan Sampson is give me the ball in the backfield, and we can use him in the pass game. We haven't really seen that yet. So I would say he's past that guy. I won't put him past Eric Berry just because Eric Berry had a unique ability to literally impact the entire team, and he did it over multiple years. But I would have to say, either that season with Cordell Patterson or even going back to the Eric Berry year, he's a special guy.
And I look at my years as just Travis Stevens, the way he took over games against Florida, Arkansas, where you just loaded him up and handed him the ball. And that's really what you've seen from Dylan, right? Like he is the consistent force that's always kind of that nail hitting again and again and doesn't always break, but then when it does, it's almost a guarantee. At some point in this game, he's going to break it and go for a big play. And it happens every single time where you think they may have them bottled up or figured out in that game. Nope, here it comes. And it's off to the races because the whole team follows behind that and has a good drive right after that performance.
And I'm glad you guys mentioned Travis Stevens and Cordero because when I remember playing as a quarterback at the Cobweb, we had Chuck right behind him. And but I remember that 89 Auburn game. Get Reggie the ball, Sterl. Check back if you have to. If it looks different on 3rd and 7, I'll call the draw play 9-yard first down. So I remember those days having a stellar back like Reggie Codman. Rest in peace, my brother, my roommate. But I think what's happening now is similar to what we've had the luxury of having at Tennessee at the running back position. Because Bishop is balling. I mean, when Dylan came out for that spell, Bishop toted that tater, baby, and it wasn't like he was on the sidelines cold for the whole 3 quarters. That's right. So I'm excited about what's going on right now.
Excited is what the word is. Proud to see it, and a great guy that's getting a lot of good returns. So, John, back to you.
All right. Way to go. When we come back, let's preview the rest of the season with our Will They or Won't They segment. Then we got the Cavaliers line for the Kentucky game. He has to set it 2 weeks out. That's tough for him, tough for us, too. We got much more to come. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Home theater seating, bars and bar stools, kitchen and dining stools to go with pub tables. Games and Things has it all. You can watch our Saturday kickoff show and see a bunch of it, from Pop-A-Shot games branded with the Tennessee logo down the side, poker tables, shuffleboard tables, to small stuff like dart boards. They've even got jukeboxes. They've got everything to make your house a fun house. OurGameRoom.com, or visit them right at their showroom, Games and Things, right at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road out in West Knoxville, because life should be fun. All right, time for our annual or our weekly segment that is Will They or Won't They? Chuck, Josh, and Jimmy are right here. We got all of our VFLs standing there. They're ready with their thumbs. All right, so here's your first question. And these are for the entire rest of the season, not just the next game. So here we go. The Vols had 0 losses entering November 2022. They lost 2 in November. UT had 2 losses entering November 2023. They lost 2 in November. Will the Vols lose fewer than 2 games this November? We got all yeses. Oh, it's all just sunshine over there. So nobody's scared yet of Vanderbilt. Okay, good deal. Next, Cedric Tillman had 12 TD catches in 2021. Jalen Hyatt had 15 in 2022. Ramel Keaton led the team last year with just 6 touchdown catches. Dante Thornton is the current team leader with 3. Will he reach 6 in the back half of the year? We got one yeah, we got one no. What a surprise. The rain cloud is blown in. Will, why won't he do it?
Well, he looks a little banged up anyways, and he's had trouble staying on the field and being available at times. So, I mean, I think that's one area. Two, I just think, we've had one half of gotten a little bit better offense. I got to see more of it to say we're going to become more consistent and get Tim to 6.
Pretty good. You guys look like a gospel quintet out there. All right. Next, we got where are the moles? All right. James Pierce is now up to 3.5 sacks on the year. Will he double that number over the last 5 games and reach 7 sacks? No. 2 no's, 3 yeses. Daniel and Ollie, why no?
I mean, I think with the amount of the attention that he's drawing to himself, he's still going to effectively impact the game, but will that sack total get to that point? I don't think so.
I'm in the same boat as Ollie. I think the other guys are going to get it because of the attention that he draws.
Very good. Next, the last one. Through 4 SEC games, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, and Alabama. The Vols are 3-1, but they're only averaging 20 points a game in regulation, so I'm not counting the overtime. 20 points a game in regulation. Will the Vols stay above 20 points per game as they finish up their SEC season with Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, and Vanderbilt? Will that number drop below 20, or will they keep it at 20? They keep it at 20. Everyone positive. Everyone happy. Joy, joy. So let me ask these 3 guys. Do we agree with that one? I think Georgia could keep you down. And with this offense, they're averaging 20 against some so-so teams. I mean, Florida's not exactly great shakes, but
I think they will average well over 20, actually.
Well over, okay.
Because, and I understand Kentucky, but my gosh, Florida got 48 points on them. Mississippi State's defense isn't any good. Vanderbilt's defense, so.
And if they lose their quarterback by that period, who's banged up, then you got to wonder what their whole team is.
So I do think Tennessee may have found something in that second half against Alabama, so I'm going to say well over 20.
Well over 20, Josh?
Yeah, the next 2 games should take care of that. They have to prove it, but Mississippi State might cover the Mississippi State and Georgia game for what Tennessee needs.
Yeah, Mississippi State has been kind of surprising to me because they've been in so many games, but they're high-scoring games. So that bodes well to Tennessee scoring more than 20, certainly in that game.
All right. When we come back, you got a line ready for the Kentucky game?
I'm calculating right now, John.
All right, that's next. When we come back, Chuck's going to set the line for the Kentucky game. We're all going to bet for it. And we got one guy with a lot of money. A lot of money after he went all in last week on Tennessee. We'll let Daniel Hood come out here and gloat next. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source, this segment. You see the real men wear pink there at the top. This is about my friend Girish Desai, who is with El Chico. And folks, I've known him for years. He's very involved in the fight against breast cancer. Lost his mother to the disease years ago, had a sister who's battled it. You can take part in him raising money to defeat breast cancer. Click the QR code right there on your screen, or you can head over to El Chico. You can buy food there with your, you get, what is the queso bowl? The price goes straight to the breast cancer research. You can buy raffle tickets for great prizes that they have. All this is going on through October 30th, so you can donate at El Chico and get some great fresh Tex-Mex food. You can also donate with the QR code right there. Help out my friend Girish Desai raise money to help defeat breast cancer, a disease that's touched so many. It's hard to find anybody who doesn't know someone touched by breast cancer. Real Men Wear Pink. Use the QR code to head to El Chico this week. All right, it is time for a trip inside the Chuck E. C. Note Casino, which I don't know if it was a good week or a bad week. He took money from a bunch of us, but he wound up giving a lot of it back to Daniel Hood. It's Beat the House featuring the Cavaliers line. And let's go ahead and show you the standings as they are today. Daniel, wow, $2,200. You went all in with $1,100 last week, doubled your money, and now you have a commanding lead, which I thought he was going to play himself out last week. Now a bunch of us are going to have to play ourselves out, just trying to catch up. So, Marlon Walls is right behind him at 1025, lost 100. Jimmy actually jumped ahead of me this week. He went plus 100. You're up in the thousands now. Congratulations, Jimmy. I think you came all the way from you were in the basement at one point this year.
I was.
So-
Marathon, not a sprint.
What a run back. Then we got Bob Hodge, we got Mike Stoll, and Sterling Hinton. They're tied, but those are two completely different viewpoints. I went the opposite of Jimmy and lost 200 this week, so I'm down to 700. Josh and Will, it may just not be your year. But
I got caught in the rain cloud last week.
Caught in the cloud. You got caught in the clouds when you went happy a couple of weeks, too.
I know,
Yeah, that's bad. All right. Chuck Cavaleris, what do you got for the Kentucky game?
Hey, John, you said it was it a good week or a bad week? All that red and green made me think it was a Christmas tree, baby. It's a good week, a good week. Hey, we know the Vols have an open day this week. Let's hope they kind of treat it better than they did going into Arkansas. They'll be playing Kentucky this coming Saturday. Kentucky is at home against Auburn, a night game. So that's a little bit of a shorter turnaround for the Wildcats. I look for an exciting, more of a high-scoring game. I think Tennessee gets well on offense. I'm going to make it Vols minus 13.5.
Okay, Tennessee minus 13.5 against Kentucky. Daniel, you are our leader. Oh boy, here we go.
You know, when you're on top of the mountain, you got to wait for other people to catch up.
You're not doubling your money again?
No, there's no need. You aren't even close. I'll put 100 on Kentucky.
All right, 100 on UK. Marlon Walls.
I've got to start catching this guy, so I'm gonna go 500 on the Vols, 13.5.
That a baby.
500 on UT. All
Start
right,
catching them.
Jimmy.
I want to know how Marlon got that 25 in there to go ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 100 on Tennessee's improved offense.
Man, you are all in on the offense now. All right. Bob, I'll ask him later. Mike, I'll ask him later. Sterling Hinton, you got $850 to wager with.
Let's go 450 on the Vols, baby. Let's ride.
450 on UT. That's me next. I've only got 700. I wish I had 1,700. Let's go 300 on UT. Nah, heck with it. 600 on UT. I'll be left with $100. I'll be left with $100. All right, Josh Ward.
I was going to try to double you up there. So I only have 500. Bye week, Kentucky might quit. I'll go all in on Tennessee.
All in, so you could be kaput next week.
I'm kaput-ish already.
Kentucky beat Ole Miss.
Kaput adjacent. All right, Will Overstreet.
I'll do 450 on the Vols because we're playing Kentucky. That's the only reason.
Yep.
It's Kentucky, baby.
Yep. All right, very good. So I'll get Bob and Mike, but everybody here's heavy UT except for the leader, Daniel. Does he know something the rest of us don't know?
Kentucky beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Got a really good defense.
Kentucky lost to Florida 48-20.
Yeah, with the new quarterback, they didn't have any film on.
Kentucky is
And Florida
against
had
UT.
They
had a lot of
It's
film.
Kentucky.
Florida had to win that game, though, too. And I talked to my buddy after the game last week. They were motivated for that one.
Where do we think Tennessee? I mean, when you look around the SEC, there's 6 teams that are 6-1. You got Ole Miss at 5-2, who started the season ranked above UT. Where does Tennessee rank in the SEC right now? Is it Georgia now passes Texas because they beat them head to head, and we ignore the fact that Georgia lost to Alabama?
Georgia going to Texas to win that game.
All right,
Yeah.
so Georgia's number 1. Texas is clearly still your number 2, right?
I think you could argue
so.
Tennessee third.
Say Tennessee or LSU.
Tennessee or
LSU.
LSU, Texas A&M, and
I mean, I don't buy Missouri.
No.
And
I'm lucky to beat Auburn.
Ole Miss is 5-2, so don't put them up there. So LSU, Tennessee, and
Bama's
Texas
played
A&M?
its way down. So Tennessee's in the mix with 3 or 4.
All right. Who do you guys tell me 3 or 4? Who do you
3.
Of course.
3.
Chuck, Tennessee or LSU right now?
LSU quarterback play.
Okay. Ollie?
I'm taking Tennessee, so. Yeah.
Hey, watch that punch, man.
I think I'd put A&M 3 right now because they're undefeated in the SEC. And
Okay. Marlon, quickly.
I've got him at 3.
Okay.
I've got him at 3.
3 or 4?
LSU's defense, a little suspect.
I would go 4.
I'm going to go 4.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you. Watch us. Watch. I don't need any more hate
Maybe
mail.
your poll question.
We'll see you next Saturday at 11 o'clock right here for the Saturday kickoff. I'll use it as my poll question next week. See you then. Thanks for joining us.